In today's day and age, how far does $200 get you? Well, you get what you pay for, and we're going to talk about that on Sunday Gun Day. What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things, and today we're taking a look at a very popular handgun manufacturer that I've never covered here on the channel before, and that is Walther. Now, a lot of people out there love the PPQ to death. They rant and rave about the ergos and the trigger and everything that is good about the gun. And while I do agree on a lot of those things, I've just never bought one and reviewed one because the market is so oversaturated and it was always a gun that I kind of just looked over. I've definitely shot them a bunch and I'm familiar with them, I just never did a dedicated video on a PPQ. We actually are not even looking at the PPQ today, however we are going to be looking at its single stack smaller companion, and that is the PPS M2. Right from the start, I'm going to be comparing this to the Glock 43s, the M&P Shields, the XTS9s, and a few other subcompact options that I feel that this thing competes directly with. This is a polymer frame single stack striker fired pistol, giving you 6-in-1 or 7-in-1 depending on the magazine. On top, this model comes standard with 3-dot sights, but there are a few other options including night sights or even a version with an RMSC red dot right from the factory. There are slide serrations both front and rear, and on top of the barrel there is a viewport so you can tell if the chamber is loaded. In my opinion, the PPS M2 feels a bit more ergonomic than the original, coming standard with their much loved Walther grip and cross-directional texturing. And then the trigger on this gun, I will save my thoughts on that until after I actually shoot the thing. So that's a quick rundown of the standard specs on the PPS, but the best part that I left out is that my friends at Panda Tactical found this thing for just around the $200 mark. To me, that almost seems like a no-brainer when you're talking about the best bang for your buck. Now, the mags on this thing are small, so I'm going to start by loading them up and putting 2 of them down before I come back and give you guys my first mag impression. All right, we're gonna start off with the 6-round magazine. This one has no extension on there, so my pinky does hang off the bottom there, but I'll see if I can hang on to this thing enough to land some shots. Ooh, flinching on that. I just recently came off of shooting a ported gun the same size, so not quite used to that recoil again just yet. All right, now with this mag, I can definitely get a full-handed grip on there, and this feels a lot better. All right. Alright guys, back for my first mag or mags impression of the Walther PPS. Now I'm going to start with something I typically don't, and that is the controls. The placement of the slide stop lever on this is similar to that on the P10C. The way I grip this gun as well as the P10C, I tend to ride that slide stop. That is why I did not get the lock back on that first magazine, and then I was just a little more conscious of it for the second one, and then it did of course lock back. Now, if the slide is locked back, even on an empty magazine, there is plenty of positivity there that I can get my thumb on there and close it. So that could be a pro or a con depending on how you look at it. Other than that, the magazine release, although this is a small gun, I can get to it very easily. I don't have to break my grip at all to get that mag out of there. And then of course, like you guys saw, I definitely prefer the bigger 7-round magazine with the extension on there just because it makes the gun feel way more ergonomic in my hand. Now we're going back to the top and I will work my way down, starting with the sights. There's not a whole lot to say there. They are fairly standard painted white dots on there. There is no luminescence and there's no tritium or anything like that, so they're not going to be night sights. But as I mentioned, there are some other options, and I think this thing would actually be really cool with that RMSC on top of here. I actually have not had any hands-on experience with that sight yet, but it seems like a good option. So maybe here in the future I will pick one up and bring you guys a review on one. The serrations on this thing are actually very nice. They're not too shallow, but they're also not too deep. They are on an angle, but they are cut in a 90-degree shape, so I can definitely get a lot of really good traction on here, and it's not gonna rip my hands apart. They could have gotten away with just rear serrations, but they did put some up here on the front. You can get some press checks going on, and I like that a lot. Now moving down to the frame and the grip, there is no accessory rail on there. I think there might be enough room that you could put something like that on there, but they of course did not. Definitely not something to knock it for when this thing is coming in at like the $200 mark. And then of course you get that Walther ergonomic grip that people love to death. And I have to admit, this thing does feel really good in my hand. It's obviously a single stack gun, so it is a lot slimmer than its PPQ counterpart. However, I think they did a pretty good job of beefing it up a little bit. That way it fills your hands even if they are on the bigger side. And then there's the trigger, and I always save my thoughts on that until after I shoot it some more. So let me load up a couple magazines. We'll shoot this thing a little bit more, and then I will come back for my final thoughts. Alright guys, as you can probably tell, I'm not very accurate with this thing. A lot of it I think has to do with the trigger, which I will talk about in my final thoughts, but for now, I'm back at about 30 yards and we'll see if I can land any kind of shot here. Yeah, we'll try one more of the smaller mag. Nah. Ugh. Yeah, trigger's not good. Alright guys, back for my final thoughts on the Walther PPS. I'm in a little bit of a predicament here because I want to say good things about this pistol. I know that the PPQ is a great gun, has a nice trigger, great ergos and everything. I've shot that gun in the past and I like it. I have also shot the older version of the PPS, the one with the blockier frame. The ergos on this definitely feel better than the older version, but I actually shot that older one pretty damn well as well. The PPS is basically a scaled down version of the PPQ, so the triggers should be fairly similar. I actually just spent the last like 10 minutes calling and texting a bunch of my different friends saying, hey, have you guys shot this thing yet? Have you had hands-on experience with the PPS? All right, quick sidebar. I really thought that it was me just kind of going crazy thinking that the trigger should have been good like a PPQ, but it just wasn't for some reason. That was until I remembered that I had already shot this gun along with a bunch of my other friends when we were at SHOT Show this past year. So right now, candidly, I'm gonna call them up and get their honest opinions on it.
Yo.
Yo.
What up?
You are live on Sunday GUNDAY. Say what's up to everyone.
Sunday GUNDAY. What's going on, everybody?
All right, pop quiz time. What was the gun that we shot at range day, specifically at the Walther booth, that everyone disliked because of the trigger? I thought I was going crazy, but I remember you guys shot it too.
Their subcompact, the PPS.
The PPS. And what didn't you like about it?
I remember there was a ton of travel, like a lot of travel, like pre-travel in it before you get to the brake. It was like not just a lot of travel, but super squishy on top of that. The brake was just funky.
All right, because I was just saying the same thing and I was like racking my brain and I was like, I thought this was good. I thought it was like the PPQ and it just wasn't, so. All right, I'm gonna call Mike now and ask him. So thanks, dude. I'll talk to you in a second. Sorry for the wind, by the way. What up, dude? You're live on Sunday GUNDAY right now, so say hi to everyone.
Oh, snap. Sunday GUNDAY, I'm famous.
I got a pop quiz for you, completely candid, and you're gonna have to think back to SHOT Show for this one.
Oh, okay.
So we went to the industry range day, we went to the Walther tent booth thing, and we all shot a gun that we all disliked. Do you remember which one that was?
The Match Q5, I think.
It was a polymer frame, single stack.
Oh, the little PPS?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like the trigger. I mean, the main thing I remember not liking at the Walther booth was the Q5 grip. Just felt weird, but.
I remember that one as well. So I just filmed a video on the PPS and I was like, man, I thought this was more like the PPQ and it wasn't, and then I remembered us shooting it and we were all like, okay, that trigger's not as good as it should be coming from Walther, so.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I kind of remember talking about how we were all like, the PPQ trigger's awesome and the PPS trigger sucks.
Yeah.
All right, man, have fun with Sunday GUNDAY.
Thanks, dude. Talk to you later. All right, there you guys have it. I'm not going crazy, but I'm gonna flash back to the range footage I just filmed and you can watch me kind of think I'm crazy for the rest of this video. That's it. So I don't know what it is, but I just did not shoot this thing very well. I went so far as to load up this gun, my Performance Center Shield in 9mm. This one does have the ported barrel and everything. Definitely not me. And I was way more accurate with this. I don't know what it is. I want to be able to shoot this gun well, and I like a lot of things about it, just isn't good in my hand for some reason. One of the things that I did notice right away is that when I went from shooting this like 2 or 3 days ago right to shooting this, I was not as prepared for that muzzle rise. The gun is small, it is a little bit snappy, but it's not like unmanageable. But when you compare it right next to something like this, which is a little more expensive and it has the ported barrel on there, this thing is obviously going to shoot a lot flatter than the PPS. Now let's take a closer look at this trigger so I can sort of explain what I don't like about it. The trigger shoe itself feels great. It is very, very similar to the PPQ. It's nice and wide. It's not completely flat, but it is not completely rounded either like a Glock trigger. So I like the profile of the shoe, and then as I put my finger on here and start to put pressure, then you start to feel a little bit of the grittiness and sort of sandy texture in there. It is not super smooth like I have felt on some PPQs in the past, and maybe it is because the gun is brand new. Now once I'm pulling through back to find the wall, there's even more grittiness. I think I find the wall right there, and then it breaks. And then there's the reset. You have to let this trigger way far out, almost halfway or even more than halfway through the trigger pull until you get that reset. It's not super tactile and audible, but then you have more creep, back to the wall, and then the break. Now again, I'm not sure if it's just this gun in my hand or what it really is, but I didn't shoot it well. You're obviously not gonna shoot every gun well, so maybe you shouldn't take this as an end-all be-all opinion. The gun does feel good in my hand. It points fairly naturally. The sights are standard, but that's okay. I have no problem aiming with this thing. Yeah, there is just something about that trigger that I'm not a big fan of. Walther right now is doing that sort of incentive program. If there is something that you don't like and you're not completely satisfied, they would buy it back from you. If I did buy this gun, I would probably take them up on that offer and send it back to them. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people are not gonna like that, but that is just how I feel. Here comes the wind again. Mother Nature is mad that I don't like the Walther PPS. All right guys, well, I'm sorry for the letdown. Like I said, I really wanted to like this gun. I think Walther makes great pistols, but this one is just not for me. So that's gonna be it. Instead of you guys asking me questions about this gun, I would actually like to hear which guns you don't prefer. What guns out there are super popular that you pick up and you just don't shoot well? I know the Glocks are super popular, but there are a big number of people who don't like them and shoot them well. So let me know in the comments down below if there is a pistol like this that a lot of people love and for some reason you just don't like it all that much. Now, if you are new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe. I make new videos every week, and that is going to be all for today. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you in the next one.